finally I was able to get my feet unhooked, and I swung down, and I could see this one little opening, and I thought that's where I'm going to hit. And I thought I had it nailed. I was going to make this little opening land on the ground, and at the very last minute the wind goes poof, and it just shoved me right over the top of this 200-foot tall fir tree, and I capped it. And so there I am hanging up in this fir tree 200 feet, and I can't see the ground because there's limbs below me, and I don't know how far up I am really. I'm guessing. And remember, this is my rookie year. I mean, I'm brand new, 18-year-old kid. And so finally I said, well, here's what I'll do. And I decided what I was going to do is I would take my letdown rope and do everything I'm supposed to do. And I'd drop the letdown rope, and I'd let myself down to the last limb that I could cut off on, and then I would judge how far it was from the bottom of the rope to the ground, and I'd make my decision then. And so I did that. And so I got down to the last limb, and I could see this little teeny ball of rope, and I could see it was fairly close to the ground, where it was still waving around, so I knew it wasn't on the ground. And I thought, what the hell, I'll give it a try. I can always jump 10 or 20 feet, you know. And I went down, and I was able, when my feet just touched the ground, and I had 6 inches of letdown rope left. And when I stepped out of my pants, they stretching the rope, pulled them about 20 feet in the air. And then to top that off, that was right the next summer after the Columbus Day storm. So when they dropped our climbers, we couldn't find them. We found them later. They were in the bottom of a big, huge clump of down timber, but at the time we couldn't find them. And so we ended up having to cut this 200-foot tree down with a crosscut saw. And that tree was so tall that it cleared all the other trees around it and landed right in the opening that I'd missed. So I walked down there, pulled a chute off of the top of the tree, but anyway, Gary and I, we put the fire out, and the next thing that happened was one of our cargo chutes got caught up in this monster tree. So Gary and I flipped coins to see who climbed that tree, and you can guess who lost, right? So here I am climbing up this tree, get clear to the top, the wind's blowing, and you're going back and forth and back and forth. It's what a ride. And all it was a dang can of water. If we had any choice at all, that can of water would still be hanging there, but we couldn't come back without it. So, but luckily we had a short pack out, and it was. But that was my one really close call jump. The only thing that I did catch a lot of guff, simply because Mick Swift kept telling me, oh yeah, every time we'd fly up there for another fire, we used your parachute as a marker because it was hanging so up high up in the air. I will say this, my 200-foot fir tree is not the record by any means. It's the record is close to 300 feet by some guy up in the Mount Baker National Forest. And so, but in those days, there was a lot of big trees in Southern Oregon. The words that you didn't want to hear was fire on the Umpqua, because the Umpqua had some of the biggest trees you ever saw down there.